I'm Conrad Bahr, C-Rat, and it's time for another Pigskin preview. Today we'll be looking at the 2024 football season for the Lindale Eagles. We'll get right into the preview after this word from Texas National Bank.
Texas National Bank in Lindale wants to handle all of your banking needs. East Texas owned and locally operated, they offer services like online banking, personal and commercial banking, real estate, and mortgage loans. Texas National Bank meets the banking needs of everyone. They make mortgage loans an easy process. Check out txnationalbank.com. With 8 locations in East Texas, Lindale's location is 2406 South Main in Lindale. Call them at 881-5589. Just look for the bank with the big blue roof. Member FDIC, equal housing lender. Good luck to the Lindale Eagles this season in football.
The Lindale Eagles are under the direction of head coach Chris Cochran. They're in District 9 4A Division I, Region 3. They're returning 5 starters on offense and 8 starters on defense. Last year they went 7-5 overall, 5-1 in district, and they were 4A Division I area finalists. I had the chance to sit down with head coach Chris Cochran. Here's my interview with Coach. All right, we got head football coach and athletic director Chris Cochran with Lindale High School. Coach, thank you so much for taking the time out of your busy summer schedule to meet with KMOO. I know this is the third interview with you in another year at Lindale High School, so appreciate it, and I know you're looking forward to the upcoming season. So,
absolutely.
yes,
I really appreciate you having me on, and we're excited about 2024.
Yes, sir. Well, to get started here, of course, just kind of give an introduction here. We do have new people in the Lindale area.
Yep.
We do have new people in KMOO country. So if you could just give an introduction about yourself, where you're from, where you've coached before, kind of some coaches that maybe have given you some mentorship in your coaching philosophy, things of that nature. And then also tell us about your time at Lindale.
Yeah, from Hallsville, Texas. Graduated there in 2000. I'm dating myself there. Went to East Texas Baptist University and graduated from there. I went to Ouachita Baptist, actually, and then graduated from ETBU.
Yes, sir.
I started my career here in Lindale, and I was here for a couple years. And then I went back to Hallsville, and I was there for a few years. So anyway, coached in both places, and now it's pretty cool that we're going to get to open up the season against those guys. But as far as, our time here in Lindale, it's been really, really good. I've been here, came back in 2015 as the defensive coordinator. 15 and 16, I was the defensive coordinator for Mike Metter, who was the head coach here for a long time, over 10 years, I think, and did a really good job here. And then I took over in 2017, went through, we were 2-8 in 16, and then in 17 I took over, and we were 4-6. And just got a little bit better each and every year. We were 4-6, and in 18 we went 7-5. We were 5A at the time, 7-5. Won our first 5A playoff game in the history of the school, so that was cool. And then in 19 we went 7-4, lost a close one in the first round. And then in 2020 we went down to 4A in 4A Division I, and that's when we made the run to AT&T Stadium, played in the state championship. We're 13-3 then, and that was a lot of fun. And so, anyway, that kind of like took us to a different level. Now we're obviously ever since then we've been trying to go back, and that's the goal. And so, 21, 22, 23, without boring anyone, have been good years. They have not been great years, and so we're trying to get back to that. As far as coaches that have been a mentor to me. My high school head coach, Roger Adams, was just awesome for all of us. He was tough. He was a disciplinarian, but he loved us. He loved big. He's a guy that I always think about when somebody says, who's a mentor of yours. And then, of course, Coach Owens, who hired me here in 2005, and Coach Metter, who hired me back here. Both of those guys, they love kids, man. They do it the right way. They do it with class. Really all three of those guys I appreciate, and they've been great for me in my as far as this profession.
Yes, sir.
So it's been good to look to them.
All right, Coach, how's this off season gone with workouts? And talk to us about the spring a little bit.
Yeah, off season was really good. We started. It would have been late November, early December, and our goal was we had to get tougher. We physically, I think we have tough kids, but mentally I felt like we lost some games because we weren't, we didn't handle certain things the way we should have. And so that was our goal as a coaching staff. That's what we felt like we needed to do. And I committed to these young men that I would never, stand up and in front of them and not feel certain that we did everything that we could to make sure that they were tough enough to handle whatever circumstances they went through. And I love it because all of that is going to translate to their life. I know without a doubt, if they can be tough through the stuff that we put them through, they can be tough, with life circumstances. And so off season's been really good. We've had a really good summer. I would say on average, our high intensity group is what we call them in performance course. That's our 10th through 12th grade. There's been 70 young men on average, 65 to 70, that have shown up Mondays through Thursdays, and they've busted their tail, in the indoor as far as the running, and then in the weight room. It's been really, really good, and we've seen them grow. We've seen them, come together as a team, and that's what the summer's about. So we're excited about it.
All right, tell us about last season a little bit, and tell us, obviously I know you guys went a few rounds of the playoffs, but did come up short of making a state championship. So talk to us about last season.
Yeah, it was a good year. It really was. It was good. It ended differently than what we had hoped. We ran into Iowa Colony. That was a tough opponent, but man, I'm going to tell you that whole week when we played them, I felt so good. We knew how good they were, but we just felt good about our matchups. We got off to a really fast start against those guys, and then kind of stumbled and couldn't gather ourselves, and that was just. It leaves a sick feeling in your stomach, and if you're a competitor, which we are, that's how it's going to be. You always have that sick feeling in your stomach. So unless you win a state championship, that's the only way that you don't, I guess. But
right.
It was a good year. It really was. The highlight, I think, if you were to ask anyone walking around Lindale on the street, what was the highlight of last year? It was beating Chapel Hill when they came in here ranked number 1, and so that was a big night. That was a fun night. Our quarterback ran it 40-something times, and that was unbelievable. And our defense played lights out and forced several turnovers, and O-line was just really, really good and mashed on them. So that was a fun night. We ended up being the number 2 seed, lost to Kilgore the week before Chapel Hill. So we came up short as far as the district championship goes. But, man, that's always the goal. When you start every year, you want to win the district championship. And we have not done that since 2020. We've made the playoffs every year, and that's good. But, we want to take the next step. That's the goal. And so hopefully – we're making progress as far as the mental aspect and young men actually getting that. We've got some good young ones coming that we're excited about. So hopefully we'll be able to really take the steps that we need to this coming season.
Yes, sir. And speaking of that, would you talk about some kids that you have coming back? Obviously, every year you graduate seniors.
Yeah.
You have 8th graders become freshmen, and freshmen become sophomores, etc. So talk about some position groups that maybe you had graduate. Talk about some position groups that you're excited about coming back, and maybe some kids that had a really good spring or summer that you'd like to mention.
Yes. First off, the O-line, we lost our 2 tackles. They'll be very tough to replace. Any Division I guy, you don't replace them, but we've got some guys that we feel like can fill in those roles. So Casey Poe left and is now at Alabama. That's a huge deal. So happy for him and proud of him. And then Christian Petway going to University of North Texas. And that was kind of a late thing. He was being recruited by the lower level Division I FCS schools. And UNT came in late and snatched him up, and so we're so happy for him. And so they'll be tough to replace, but we got some guys. There's competition on our O-line. I mean, it's across the board. Got some guys: Jack Kirk, Drew Ragland, Trey Roselle, that played a bunch last year. Cameron Griffin, who was a sophomore. So there's 4 guys with a lot of experience that played, and so we're trying to find who it is that's going to replace in that other tackle position, and do one of those guys fit in those tackle positions. Having to replace Clint Thurman, that's a big deal. Tough dude, so reliable. I've always said it. He's the toughest guy I've ever coached, and I mean that. And so he's going to Hardin-Simmons, and so we're excited for him. Going to miss him a lot. Marcus Field is one of our outside receivers going to Sam Houston. And, he was a big target, 6'5", and would go up and get the ball, So Chad Ward is somebody we're excited about, but he's about to have to kind of live life without Marcus on the other side, And so we've got some guys that we feel like we can, help out, Chad with, and we can take advantage when Chad's being double teamed, that sort of thing. Really excited about our defensive line. Really excited about those guys. Caleb Walker coming back. Gunnar Johnson, those guys were just staples, on our defensive front last year, the entire year. So, we're talking 12 starts between those two. Cam Beeson is a young guy, played a little bit as a freshman. He'll be really good and has had a great offseason for us. And a linebacker or two that I want to mention that have had great off seasons. Nathan Bradford, he led us in tackles last year with 60-something and didn't even play all 12 games and had almost 70 tackles. And so excited about him. He had a really good track season. And also Hayden Nations, he was also one that took pride in running track, and it made him a lot better. It made him tougher. And so we're excited about both of those guys too. And expect them to help lead our defense.
All right. I realize at the end of each year, you kind of evaluate each season.
Yeah.
Is there anything you've brought back maybe that you've used in your earlier coaching days that maybe you'd like to mention, or something you might have changed that you'd like to talk about?
Yeah, the toughness aspect, we went back to mat drills in off season, and I don't know if you meant on the football side of things or off season.
No,
but,
just anything in general.
That our mat drills, we kind of had gotten away from that a little bit, but we didn't just do it on the mat. We never did mat drills on the mat. We went out and did it on the grass. So it didn't matter if it was 35 degrees, a little bit wet. We were going to go out there and slop around and get after it, and just felt like we needed more grit in our football program. And so that's what we did. We went out and did that, and I think it helped. I think we will see how much it helped, but I think our guys bought into it. And, just different gritty things in the off season. We started running the hills out here, outside of our offices. We started doing that kind of stuff, and just probably went away a little bit from the scientific side of things in off season to just, now we're going to get down and dirty and get a little bit gritty, So probably more of a general statement there than specifics, but we,
sure.
It was a tough, gritty off season for us.
All right, Coach, is there any new additions to the staff, or did you have any changes on the staff, or if you had any arrivals or departures, if you just highlight those?
Yeah, actually, we didn't have any, and this is the first time. I love that you asked that question, because this is the first time that we haven't had to replace anyone on our varsity staff. And we've had, some different coaches in the athletic program, but we have 12 varsity coaches. Every one of them are returning. And so that's a big deal. It says a lot about, I think, our football program. We got some guys in here that really love it, and they love our kids, and they believe in what we're trying to do. And their families love Lindale, and they love teaching. These coaches love teaching in Lindale, and just know how much support that Mr. Tillich and Mr. Wright provide us, and so it's been good. It really has. I mean, it's exciting when you have all these guys coming back. We don't have, a coordinator having to find time to meet with, the new receivers coach or the new DB coach. We don't have to do that. We've, everybody has worked together. We've got some chemistry. And so I think that's going to play a part. Again, how much, I don't know. We'll find out. But I think that's going to play a huge role while some of these other staffs are trying to, get the kinks worked out. We've already done that a year ago. So, we're excited about the whole group.
All right, Coach, this is a redistricting year. So, obviously, I know you've coached for several years. But tell us about your schedule this year.
Yeah.
obviously your district is pretty similar, but some changes.
Yep.
And then obviously talk about your non-district opponents as well. And then talk about maybe some opponents Lindale hadn't played too often, things of that nature.
Yeah.
If you could just kind of highlight your schedule.
Yeah,
things of that
absolutely.
nature.
So just starting off with district, I mean, it changed. We lost Jacksonville, and we lost Athens. We lost Jacksonville and Athens. We gained Maybank and Pine Tree. And so gaining Pine Tree, we've been playing those guys every year in non-district, and it is always a tough physical game, a well-coached game. We had beaten them a few years in a row up to last year, and they absolutely got after our tail in week 2 last year. Their D-line got after us, and we didn't stop them. We didn't keep up with their athleticism. So, yeah, so we got a little taste of them, so that will be interesting, them coming down from 5A to 4A Division I. Maybank has been with us before. For 2 years ago, they were with us. So they left the district, and now they're back. The slot T offense is tough. It's always tough to defend. And the other one that I would like to mention is Palestine, with their new head coach, James Reyes. They've always had this wing T offense with Coach Angel, and I love Coach Angel. He's the best. But when Coach Reyes showed up, he's going to go spread. He was at Lumberton, and we played them in the playoffs a few years back. He's going to spread those athletes out, and he's going to get them the ball, and which that's scary, So you got to defend the width of the field and the length of the field when you face these guys. So. I think the district is as tough as it's ever been. That's not to mention, you've got Chapel Hill, who plays for a state championship, Kilgore, who beat them to win the district championship, and then Chapel Hill beat. So, it's all over the place. And then you start you throw in Henderson in there. I don't want to leave those guys out. They're getting better and better, each year that Coach Baker's there. So. It's tough. It really is. And then just to highlight the non-district, we've got Hallsville week 1, Mount Pleasant week 2, and Van week 3, and Gilmer week 4. Van and Gilmer have been week 3, week 4 for several years for us. Hallsville and Mount Pleasant, it's been, I think this is, it was 4 straight years that we did not play those guys. But they were in our district when we were 5A in 18 and 19. So we've played them all. We've played all of those teams, but it's been a little bit since we played Hallsville and Mount Pleasant. But excited about that, just facing the 5A, those guys who are 5A and the athleticism that we're going to get to see in those first 2 weeks.
All right, Coach, anything else you got for the Lindale community and KMOO?
We are excited, really are. We're excited about this school year and football season. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. We would ask that people, show up and support, cheer as hard as they can for us, and not, it's one of those things that you don't know how this deal's going to go. You really don't. You don't know what the injuries are going to be like or anything like that. We hope to stay healthy, but just support us and just know that our kids, our young men rather, have busted their tail to get to this point, and they're going to give us all they got, this fall. So we're excited about it, and just ask everybody to come support.
All right, Coach. Well, thank you so much. Good luck this season, and we'll see you guys soon.
Thank you very much.
Right.
Appreciate you having me.
Thank you. The Lindale Eagles will begin their 2024 football season at home tonight versus the Hallsville Bobcats at 7:30 here on 99.9 KMOO. I want to thank head coach Chris Cochran for taking the time to sit down with us for this preview. I also want to thank Texas National Bank for sponsoring this Lindale Pigskin preview. Tomorrow we will wrap up our Pigskin previews for the 2024 football season with the Hawkins Hawks, brought to you by Triple H Construction. I'm Conrad Bahr, C-Red, and you've been listening to the Butler7media Pigskin preview for the Lindale Eagles. Thanks for listening and have a great evening.
Texas National Bank in Lindale wants to handle all of your banking needs. East Texas owned and locally operated, they offer services like online banking, personal and commercial banking, real estate, and mortgage loans. Texas National Bank meets the banking needs of everyone. They make mortgage loans an easy process. Check out txnationalbank.com. With 8 locations in East Texas, Lindale's location is 2406 South Main in Lindale. Call them at 881-5589. Just look for the bank with the big blue roof. Member FDIC, equal housing lender. Good luck to the Lindale Eagles this season in football.